Thank you, sir. Now is a turn for Professor Riordan, Vice-Chancellor, the University of Essex.
Thank you very much indeed, and I too would like to say what a great pleasure it is to be here in this campus, which I've never visited before. It's my first visit to Mexico as well, and as you've heard, some of us have just been at a meeting with about 1,000 university rectors, which is a terrifying sight, I can tell you, and it can give you the sense of a possible sense of rivalry or competition, and it's not one I want to embark on, because if I were to try to compete with Sir Tim O'Shea at the University of Edinburgh, founded in 1583, well, we were founded in 1963, which is much, much more recent. But the big difference that I'd be able to spot is that the University of Essex has always had very powerful links with Latin America. The first Vice-Chancellor, Sir Albert Sloman, was a Hispanist. He was a professor of Hispanic studies, and he set up a series of links throughout this continent, with the effect that we now have some 700 alumni in Mexico alone, about 100 of whom we're hoping to see at a reception this evening. So we do feel a great sense of affinity, and I know that we have a long-standing partnership with Tec de Monterrey. Now, coming to the question of internationalization, why do we do it? Why does it matter? I agree absolutely with everything Sir Tim has just said, but I'd also add that we can't not. I think it's something that, it's not something you can make a decision about. You can't say we're going to be a university that isn't going to do that, because a university by its very nature is there to engage in the creation and dissemination of knowledge and passing the benefits of that on to others. And in today's world, in today's globalized world, the only way you can do that is by being international. Any university that wants to be successful in the 21st century has to be internationalized. And that means, in our case, for example, not just that we have around 43% of our students from countries outside the United Kingdom and about 25% from outside of Europe. It's more than that. What we want to do is to regard all of our students as international students, so the UK students as well. We'd really like to see them. Now, it's not the case at the moment, as Martin has quite rightly said. UK students are quite reluctant to go anywhere beyond where they already are. And we have I think that's the biggest task facing us, is to internationalize our own students, partly in order to improve their prospects and to give them the chances that they need in life. There are just a couple of issues I'd like to talk about in relation to things like student mobility and research exchanges. And the first of those, I think, would be quality. It's absolutely key to be able to say, when you're engaging in these things, that you are reaching appropriate quality standards. And that's why we are very selective about, all of us are always selective about the sorts of universities that we do have partnerships with, and that's why we choose an excellent university like this one. In terms of research, there are commonly accepted international standards. Researchers do cooperate internationally. There is peer review. Everybody knows how to, in a sense, establish that. So I don't think that's really an issue. In terms of teaching, there probably is. There is actually a need for international quality standards that are recognized around the world. And we have a situation at the moment where every country either doesn't really have them necessarily, or they're slightly different ones. So that's one of the things, one of the issues, I think, in terms of internationalization, that we need collectively to address international quality standards. The second thing that can kind of get in the way is funding models. I mean, it always costs money. If you're going to, whether you're going to be actually physically moving around the world, or even if you're going to engage virtually, which is perfectly possible, of course, these days. You don't have to fly halfway around the world. You can interact with each other virtually, but that also costs some money. So that's one of the other key issues that needs to be addressed. And I think the only way that can really be done is by a combination of selflessness on part of institutions, that they don't demand that everything they put in is reciprocated, but also that resources are pooled and there's a preparedness to trust each other and actually pool resources. The third thing would be support. If you're going to have international research collaborations and teaching collaborations and collaborations in terms of knowledge transfer and IPR, that is intellectual property, you need to have systems of support for that. And that again is something that really needs to be worked through, and perhaps something that we can discuss. So there are differences between the various systems that we have. Of course, the university system in Mexico is very different from the one in Germany or the UK or perhaps Sweden, just plucking a few at random. There are those differences. What really matters is the attitude of mind. You really need the right kind of approach, and open-mindedness, and I think a set of values, one of which Sir Tim O'Shea very eloquently set out, that the ultimate aim of internationalization is world peace. It's also social justice. There are values like that which you can relate to internationalization, which will make it work, and that really is about a kind of approach, and that needs to be part of the curriculum, it needs to be part of the values of the university, it needs to be part of the ethical basis on which we all operate. So, in summary, I think that internationalization is one of those areas that you have to do, but that's good, because it's a good thing to do. It's an area which leads to greater trust and greater cooperation, and is absolutely mutually beneficial to both sides. Thank you very much.